Fine, I'll have to make sure I focus on the right person. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And welcome to Witness to History this Sunday, June 11th, 2023. I hope you're all doing well on this Sunday, and hopefully we'll get what we haven't had for a long time, a little bit of rain. It looks like that might happen. It looks like that might happen. I'm Donna Whyte, your host for Witness to History, along with John Dutton, who's on the Zoom controls. But John also is responsible for, you see this wonderful display of all the pictures of people who have been our guests on Witness to History. And our conversation over time was, how are we going to get all of these wonderful people in the small banner that was overhead? But now we see that, there's so many people who have been willing to be our guests. And so, MeShelle, your picture is going to be here next. So welcome, everyone. I want to thank John for all the time that he takes in his busy schedule. And we have someone we can also welcome to Witness to History this evening on John's screen. All righty. So tonight we have as our special guest, MeShelle Barclay. Thank you so much, MeShelle, for your willingness to be our guest on Witness to History this evening. And many of you may know MeShelle from the library, but we're going to learn a whole lot more about MeShelle tonight, for sure. We're going to learn more about your wonderful life, your family, and your many creative gifts.
Thank you.
A wonderful conversation. But before we get started with MeShelle, I'd like to make a special announcement. And I would like to share with you that the Shaker Library, in honor of Juneteenth, is going to have a program on June 15th. It's a film screening and discussion. The title of the film is Our Common Humanity, the Oberlin Wellington Rescue and the Trial of the Century. So this is June 15th, and Megan was kind enough to share this information with me. So the time is 7 p.m. to 8:30 on June 15th. And I'm familiar with the Wellington Rescue. So this would be a wonderful time for people to go to the library to learn more about what happened in Oberlin in 1858. So Megan, thank you so much for sharing this information with us. And I see that, I think you put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested in accessing the link for the event on the 15th, and I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thanks for mentioning it. It's actually either online or in person, so people can choose
on
one or the
Okay. Thank you so much. And of course, I have to thank Megan again, like I do every month, for making sure that everybody who perhaps has not had an opportunity to see Witness to History can just access the recordings on the library's website under Moreland Images and Stories. Am I right about that? All right. Thank you. Thank you to you too, Theo. Thank you for being here, and thank you for always announcing our Witness to History programs. So without further ado, MeShelle. So we have these wonderful pictures of MeShelle. And many of us may know MeShelle from the library or from the neighborhood. So tell us your story, MeShelle. When did your family move to Moreland? This is the question that I usually ask at the very beginning. When did your family move to Moreland?
My family moved here in, I believe it was either late May or June, probably June of 63.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my father convinced my brothers that it was their birthday gift. The house was the twins, Larry and Terry, were born on the 1st of June.
Okay, so happy belated birthday.
So yeah, so we moved here in 63. So we've had this house for a little while now.
Yes, yes, yes. So, so where did you move from? Were you in Cleveland?
We were in Cleveland in, I think it would be considered the Wade Park area. We lived on 116th Street. It was kind of in the area that Case Western Reserve and Music Institute down in that area.
Okay.
At that time, I was going to St. Agatha, which is not there now. It's now, I think, St. Martin de Porres, I think, on Superior or off Superior.
Okay. So introduce us to the other people in this picture. I recognize you in this picture, but who else are in these pictures that you have here?
Yeah, there's my mom. Well, let's see. In the kids' pictures, there's my youngest brother, Christopher. And on my left, me facing the picture, that's Larry. And to my right is Terry. And that's me in the back. And then there on the porch, that's my mom with the blue pants, and that's Larry in the peach color shirt and Terry in the gray, and me laughing.
Nice. And I understand your brothers are here with us this evening.
Two of them are, I think.
Nice, nice, nice. And you all can chime in anytime. So if she gets any of these stories wrong, you can.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So when you moved into Shaker, did you begin to go to Shaker schools?
Yes. Well, at first, as I said, we got here June. It was just the end of the school year. And I think that first summer, I want to say that was the summer that we spent in Exeter, New Hampshire. I'm not sure, but in the fall, yes, I started 4th grade, Moreland Elementary School, which is now the library, the main branch of the library.
Down the street. We gotta get all of you all Moreland graduates together one day.
Yeah.
Over time, my children graduated from Moreland, maybe a few years after you did.
Yes, I think
our conversations about your family were just absolutely wonderful.
I kind of like them.
Yeah. So I think we're going to start off with your father. So tell us about your father. We have these time. And your father's name?
Lawrence MeShelle Barclay.
Okay.
And
about your father.
He was born in Cleveland. He lived kind of in the 55th area. What is that? Whyte? Off Whyte?
Okay, you're right.
Project down there. Yeah, it was right down there. He graduated from East Tech.
Right.
And at that time, I think East Tech was predominantly white. It was a school that was for more gifted students. But he graduated from there. And I know during his growing up years, he spent a lot of time at Caramo. That was it. I don't remember what it was called then. It was not called Caramo.
Well, it started off the Cleveland Settlement House.
Yes.
I'll ask my sister if I'm right about that.
Yes, the Cleveland Settlement.
It took on the name Caramo relatively early, though.
Yes. But it was the Settlement House when he first started going there. And I think that was his introduction to theater. And he loved theater. He did a lot of theater there, and my brothers and I spent a lot of time at Karamu as well, taking classes and just running around while he was in rehearsals for different productions.
Your father performed?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Wow, that's really.
I think that the performance that I remember the most, and not all of it, he was in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and he played Puck, because I remember he was in this horrible yellow wig, you know, but and we weren't, I won't say that we weren't allowed, but maybe we weren't allowed to see the production. You know, that Midsummer Night's Dream is a little mature.
Okay.
You know? but we were there for a lot of the rehearsals, and took a lot of classes there.
Okay, good. That was one of my, when I moved back to Cleveland, I said, well, Cleveland has Caramel. And I had kids, so my children are going to be there.
Yes.
For sure. What do we see? Okay, and I want to read this. Oh, no, I see your brother's message. I gotta scroll this down. He also learned how, to do marionettes.
Oh, marionettes, right?
Young. Wow, I haven't heard that for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, that's a lost art. My goodness, what a gift. Oh, we all used to have marionettes. Remember when the strings would get tangled? You knew what you were doing. You didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you really had to know what you
were. Tell us a little bit more about your father, because he has a wonderful, wonderful story.
Yeah, we kind of liked him. Well, let's see. As we were growing up, Dad, he always loved kids, everybody's kids. For a time, he was the director of Upward Bound. He had the Rawlings group at Rawlings Junior High School. At one point, he was a counselor at, let's see, was he a counselor? He taught social studies in English at Empire Junior High School. I see you've got Leon Bibb there on the screen. That Mr. Bibb was one of my dad's students at Rawlings. The Rawlings group, my understanding, was like a theater group that my dad had. And this group was the first to do an interracial production of a Shakespearean play. I don't know which one it was, but that was the first. Dad, he went into the Navy, I know, and he wanted to be a mechanic. And he went into the Navy and was working on planes and such, was able to do the job, and came back out of the service, and because of discrimination was not able to get any work in that particular field, which to some degree was a blessing for very, very, very many students in the Ohio area, because then he turned his sights to education. He went to John Carroll University and graduated from there, and went into what at least my daughter and I laughingly call the family business, education. Most of my family are
that sounds familiar.
Educators of some sort.
Yes. Well, let's talk about your mother, talking about educators.
Yeah, mom was born in Ohio also, but she was, and when I say this, people always say Canada, and I'm like, no, she was born in Toronto, Ohio, which is near what is that place? Abu, help me.
So it's close to Steubenville.
Steubenville,
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
West
in that
yeah.
area.
Wow.
Close to the border.
Yeah.
Eastern
I've
border
never heard of
Ohio.
Toronto, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So but they moved here. Her family moved here after she graduated high school. And instead of going away to university immediately, she worked for a year for United States Immigration Service.
Oh.
And after working there for a while, I think for a year and a half, she then did go to what was then Wilberforce. And then Wilberforce split, and they were Wilberforce and Central State, and she went to Central State. She stayed at Central State. Yeah, and so she and let's see, after graduating, I don't know how much longer afterwards, she and my dad met and married.
So they were both educators.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, both.
Okay.
And I always felt a little bit intimidated because my mother, well, my whole educational process was a whole different thing, but my mother graduated in 3 years. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no
Just a
pressure,
little
right?
intimidating. All right.
Just a little. Yeah, but
Well, you have to understand that that's unusual, okay?
yeah. Yeah, I do. And I was unusual too. So, but in a different kind of way. So,
So the picture we just saw was your mother, you and your daughter,
and my
right?
daughter, yeah, my
Okay,
daughter
okay.
Tempest,
Yes, yes, yes.
who
So,
ended up, she is a Shaker graduate, graduated in 09 from
okay,
high school.
okay.
Yeah.
Good. We'll talk a little bit more about your daughter.
Yeah.
And we have more pictures. You talked a lot about your brothers. So we have more pictures of your brothers. We're meeting
Yes.
Christopher. I'm gonna note Christopher. Okay, you tell us who's who.
Okay. On the bottom, we've got Christopher's in the glasses. Terrence is in the striped shirt, the black and white striped shirt right next to him. And then Lawrence is on the other end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then above, you've got Christopher. Let's see, which one are you in? Because my thing is here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's me. And then Terry is in the black hoodie, and Larry is in the green, standing up.
Great photos. Great photos. And I want to tell you what Nicole Thomas says, that comment that you just made about unusual. She says, "We love your style of unusual."
Thank you. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. I mean, you talk I'll tell your brothers, MeShelle talks so highly of you. Just your
I
family.
do. I
Yes,
like
your upbringing. But I want to ask you something. You told me some stories about some of the things that you had to do when you came to the dinner table.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
We had I'm in a family of readers, and educators and storytellers and Scrabble players. And we had the World Book and Childcraft. And one of the requirements that my parents had is when we came to the dinner table, we had to share something that we learned that day. And I don't know, I guess Larry and Terry decided they hadn't learned anything in school. So they would always grab a childcraft book, and our house has 2 bathrooms. One would go into the bathroom downstairs and the other one would come to the bathroom upstairs and read something to have something to share at the table. And Larry, the older twin, it was his mission in life to always find the most gross bit of information, how much dirt, how many pieces of rat feces could be in chocolate and all that. And my parents were indulgent, because the main thing was to learn to carry a conversation at the table. We had to, they tweaked it a little bit, and finally, there are certain things that are maybe not quite as appropriate for dinner conversation as other things. But yeah, there was an expectation that my parents had of us with regard to manners and behavior. Some of it we wanted to be resistant, but we also grew up at part of this time. My dad was on Case Western Reserve's campus, and so I always thought everybody had college campus as their backyard, I mean, because that's where we played a lot of the times. We were there, spent a lot of time in the art museum, and we had to behave because we share the same face as my dad, and people would say, "Oh, you're Larry Barclay's kids," so there was not much of anything that we could really get away with.
Yes.
And we really we did not really want to disappoint our parents either, so I mean, we did our little dirt on occasion, and then there are things that we never got caught.
Well, that's what kids do.
Right. Nothing horrible, nothing that would really bring shame to the family name or anything.
And I just want to chime in here too. Your brother says that, that we love you too. Christopher. Now we have another picture of the Barclay family, since you were talking about your family. And I think this is your father's family, your father's side of the family, right? We were looking at this picture ahead of time, and I said, "Why there's more twins in here? It's just family resemblance." And this is also a wonderful Moreland picture.
Yes, because
on your front porch.
It's in front of 3698.
Yeah.
And I think the only immediate Barclay that we're missing is little Larry, who is like 6 something.
Okay.
He's not really so little, but I think he's the only one that's missing. It's all of Dad's children and grandchildren. Well, let's see. I think we're missing Sana too. Sana is my niece's, Chris's middle daughter. Who she lives in London.
Oh, okay.
So she was there for a time and then had to split back. Yeah.
Beautiful picture. And you mentioned that your father was on Case's campus.
Yes.
You mentioned Upward Bound.
Yes,
he was. A bit about your father was just an educator in every way. Yes. And so some of us may be familiar with Upward Bound. So he was the director of Upward Bound there?
He was, and he was the first Black director on the campus. He did a lot of work, many years of work with Upward Bound. And even after we left Ohio, and then he came back after we were adults. He was the director of Upward Bound at Oberlin also
Okay,
later on.
okay,
So
all right, okay.
yeah.
So we're going to talk about some of your experiences in Shaker Heights.
Yeah.
Now you shared, oh, okay. My sister Diane said, oh, to explain Upward Bound. I can do that a little bit. It's one of
Okay,
the
that would
trio
be good.
programs. It's one of the trio programs. If anybody knows and I always think about Louis Stokes with the trio because he was very instrumental in making sure there were programs for first generation and minority students to prepare them to go to college.
Right.
So Upward Bound is a program for high school students to
Yeah.
prepare them for higher education, one of many trio programs. So, and Case still has an Upward Bound program, I'm pretty sure. There's a Lex there. There absolutely is.
So
So I want to come back to you maybe you were in middle school. And so this next picture, and I think we all know the picture in the corner, it's one that we're familiar with, but
yeah.
tell us what happened on that day
Yeah.
and your experience in school.
Yeah, the day after Martin Luther King was assassinated, the next day, I mean, it was a hard evening, but we went to school the next day. I was at Woodbury, and
which is in the back. This is Woodbury for folks
yes,
in the Shaker.
which is now what, fifth and
fifth and sixth grade.
Then it was the junior high school.
Mhm.
And there were a number of us that were, talking about what had happened and the upset of it.
Absolutely.
And many of you may know, generally what would happen at the beginning of school, the bell would ring, you'd be in homeroom, and they'd make morning announcements. And they said absolutely nothing about King's assassination. And many of us were very upset about that they didn't even acknowledge that such a horrendous thing had happened. And so buzz went around that we were going to walk out. And at some point, I guess, teacher overheard or students reported to the teacher what was going to happen. And it was, I know at least second period, they came on with a, oh, by the way, announcement, and made a mention of the horrendous act that had happened. But by that time, we were angry. We were going to leave anyway. And so we did walk out, and the plan was to walk over to the high school. And there were high school students that were going to drive, a number of students that wanted to go downtown because there was going to be some kind of march downtown. I felt very secure in my parents being okay with me walking out. I did not feel so secure about getting in a strange teenager's car and going downtown. And so I walked my little happy buns home.
All right.
But yeah, so
which is a decision we would hope all children would be wise enough to make.
Yeah, well, not all of them, but
well, I mean, that's that other sense, like, okay, my mother and father would not want me to do this. That voice. Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
wasn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was,
for you all.
was hard.
For you.
That was
hard. This next picture. I'm trying to figure out what this is.
I'm trying to think, is that my high school?
I think that's
CNEC. That's Teaneck High School. Yeah, that's
Why it doesn't look
that's the high
familiar.
school that I
Thank you,
graduated.
John.
It looks like my high school.
We're going to Teaneck, okay?
Right, right. Once I
So,
graduated from ninth grade and graduated from
okay,
Berry, um, my family moved to Teaneck, New Jersey.
yes.
My dad, the year before actually took a job at the College Entrance Examination Board. Those are the
Mhm.
people that do the SATs.
Yes.
Um,
Mm.
and so my family moved to Teaneck, New Jersey, which in many ways is like Shaker.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so it wasn't, well, it was a little bit of a culture shock just because of the New York accent, you know,
Mhm.
dropping the ERs, dropping the R's from, and, you know, the carbonated beverage that you drink here, people call
Oh,
pop. In New York, it's soda, you
soda,
know, but Teaneck was Teaneck.
okay. You graduated from high school there?
I did.
Okay. So did
And
your whole family, did your brothers, did all of you graduate from high
yes,
school in Teaneck? Okay, so you
all
were
of us
there.
graduated from Teaneck High School. Yeah,
Mhm.
we
Okay.
did. But we didn't, my parents didn't sell the house.
Mhm.
My grandmother and my aunt
Okay.
rented the house, and so my
Mhm.
cousins lived here for a number of years until my mom moved back to Ohio.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice, nice. So now we're gonna hear about your college ventures. All right. Okay, so where did you want to
Yeah.
go to school? Tell us first of all, where did you want to go to school and why?
Well, in all honesty, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be an airline stewardess.
Okay.
Um, that did not go over well with my parents, especially not my dad.
Hmm.
My dad was like, girly. He never called me MeShelle. Girly, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need teachers. An airline stewardess? No. So my main thing is I wanted to travel.
Hmm.
Um, so I thought, okay, well, I'll go to the University of Hawaii.
Mm.
And my dad said, okay, because of the work that he did at the College Board,
Hmm.
our education was paid for, the tuition was paid for at any college or university that took the SATs. My
Mm.
parents just had to pay room and board
Mm.
and for books.
Wow,
And so it's
what a
like,
wonderful scholarship.
okay, if you can get
Hmm.
in, you can go. And I
Yes.
was like,
Mm.
okay. So I got all of the paperwork and I was filling it out and talking to my dad about it. And he said, but you know, if you go, you can only come home for summer. I said, you mean Christmas? He said, no, summer. And I was like, Dad, he said, do you know how expensive airline tickets are from Hawaii to New York? And I was like, okay, so maybe we're not going there, you know. So I put that away.
Okay.
Um, I had a teacher who was my gym teacher and my dance teacher that went to Hampton.
Hmm.
It was then Hampton Institute.
Yes.
And she felt like, she was like, you should go, you should go. I loved it. You'll love it. And so I applied and got in and went to Hampton and
Okay.
enjoyed myself immensely
Hmm.
to the tune of, maybe you need to stay home a year and decide whether or not you really want to be in school.
Okay.
So, yeah, I stayed home for a year.
And did you go to Tri-C at that time?
No, the family was still in New Jersey then.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so I went to Lincoln
Yes.
for a year.
In Pennsylvania.
Yes. And this was another HBCU. All of these
Yes.
are HBCUs except for Tri-C.
Right.
Lincoln was an interesting deal because the housing that they have for the students, I think most people know HBCU is historically Black college or university.
Yes.
You got all of these Black students at Lincoln, and it's in the middle of Ku Klux Klan country. And that's where the apartments were. I think my dad put me on punishment. He had, had me living in those apartments, and I had to hitch a ride every day to get to the campus. So that I wasn't feeling that. And so I stayed there for a year, and then I went to Clark after that. And
used to be in a city, huh?
Yeah, I went to Clark, and I enjoyed Atlanta. I didn't so much enjoy there were a lot of aspects of all of the schools and universities that I attended that I really liked. But I had my Dubai issues.
Oh, yes. You told me about your Dubais. And I was like, you said, what did you ask me? You know what Dubais are? I was like, I don't know. Well, you have to know how I spelled it too. I put it in quotation marks. I put DOBUY. I was like, okay, I'm not really sure I know what Dubais are, but tell us what Dubais are.
Dubais are what all of us have with our bills, with our papers. You know, you get a bill, you get a paper, and it is due by June the 15th or whatever. I had a little bit of an issue with the Dubais.
Okay. I have to tell that to my students sometimes.
I was the student that thoroughly read the syllabus and even did a lot of the reading of the extra reading that was on there and could lead conversations. But doing that paper, there was just something about doing that paper is I'm like, you heard, I know the information, you know, I know the information. I led the conversation, but the Dubai held me up.
There's something to be said about completion.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Now we have some other, I know the next picture is you and your daughter. And this was this at the library?
That was actually at Shaker Community Building.
Yes, right.
Yes, that was our
Stephanie Tubbs Jones building.
I think, that was our first Kwanzaa celebration that we hosted. And Tempe was a college student. Then I think she might have been in her sophomore year.
Okay. These are great pictures. These are great.
And so we did a Kwanzaa celebration. She and I were accustomed to celebrating Kwanzaa when we lived in California. And so wanted to
made it there.
Here.
Nice. Now, some of us and many of us who are on the line probably know MeShelle from the library. From the library. So tell us about the library. Tell us who you know is in these pictures. We recognize one person in this picture beside you, but also just your experience there. What did you do at the library?
At the library, I was a circulation assistant as well as a passport agent. As a circulation person, one of the things that we were required to do was to train and then be certified to take passport
Mm.
applications
Oh, okay.
to
Mm-hmm.
them in.
Mm-hmm.
I started out as page 2.
Mm-hmm.
The pages are the folks that refile all
Mhm.
of the books, and a little bit of teasing that I would get from my brothers when I first started was like, "Are you still working there yet? Have they fired you yet? Because we know you're sitting over in some corner reading the book
Reading the book.
instead of filing." But they kept me on. Nobody caught me reading when I wasn't supposed to be. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, so I
Mhm.
worked at the library for, I think it was 16 years. I
Oh,
just
okay. Okay.
retired at the end of December. The love of libraries is
Mm.
something that runs rampant in my family. The
Mhm.
libraries and books. Another
Right.
thing that my mom did with us when we were kids, because dad was the director for Upward Bound, there were a lot of trips in the summer that we would take. One being to Exeter, New Hampshire. We lived on their campus for a summer, and
Mm.
the other one was Princeton. And what mom would have us do is we would have to sit down and write a letter to ourselves
Mm.
and address it to the house, the address where we were going to be staying for the
Mhm.
summer, so
Okay.
that by the time we got there, our mail was there. And
Mhm.
at that point in time, all you had to have was a letter addressed to you from that had gone through the postal service,
Oh,
and you were
yes.
able to get a library card.
Oh, wow.
And
Mm.
so once once she got us unpacked, we were at the library. She was
Mm.
getting us all library cards,
Oh,
and
my goodness.
so I'm always tickled, not really tickled, but tickled when I hear the proverbial they saying that, Black men don't read. And I'm like,
Mm.
I live in a house
Some
full of
who
Black
do,
men and
yes.
all of them read.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
want to share this comment that Megan has here. Ah, that great photo. Here's Megan, everybody. Here's Megan on the right with MeShelle. Yeah, who are these other folks in the picture on the left?
On the left, sitting down with the orange sweater is my coworker, Laura. She is still at the library. She is
Mm.
now the library aides, who used to be called pages. She is
Mhm.
now their supervisor.
Okay.
And then this wonderful woman standing in the back, I love her. Her name is Harriet. And she usually her front shock of hair has
Mm.
faded out then, but usually it was bright purple. Um,
Oh.
and both of us, purple is our favorite color. And
Yeah,
she's a customer who just was always quite lovely to work with.
yeah. Oh,
And
that's wonderful.
I think that well, there may be another display up, but a little while ago, maybe a month ago, her photographs were on display
Oh,
in the
nice.
library.
Now, I want to make sure I don't miss these. Your brother Christopher says your love of books and of libraries is immense. Is
Yes.
immense. And Megan has
Well, I
another
don't
comment
get it
here.
because he's
That is a
referring.
great tip. Great tip. I think Megan, you're talking about the letter writing in terms of the tip. And it says we're matching. And
Oh, yeah.
that's wonderful. Just to pass on. That's really a good, tip to pass on to parents,
The
who
only thing is now it's a little more complex than
they
that.
can get it on their
Uh,
phone.
for adults anyway. Although Shaker kind of backed up a little, because I think there was finally the understanding that we
Oh,
serve so many people that don't have a home,
mm-hmm,
and they don't have address.
Mhm.
And so they did make it easier so that people could get a temporary
Mhm. Mhm.
library
Yes.
card, which it wasn't really temporary, but it would just allow them to take out 3 books.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
still, that was
Right.
something. So
I want to chime in here with Vicky and Harry. MeShelle, your life has been so interesting. I hate to leave, but the dogs are, the dogs are telling me that we have company. You'll have to come over and fill us in on what we missed. You all live on the same street, so you can.
yes, we do.
Okay.
Down the street from one another.
Okay. So I want to skip past the next picture to the next one, John. The next two. And I had made a comment about your creativity, your gifts. And one of the things that people may know is that you have, for a long time, and this wasn't necessarily, I think, something you originated here in Cleveland, but between the attics. But I
Yes.
want you just to talk about not only these paintings, and also just about some of the other things that you do other than read.
Read.
Okay, go right ahead.
The one with the lady walking, that is a stamp, a rubber stamp that I carved.
Oh my goodness.
I carve stamps,
Mm.
and I play around with watercolors a little bit. The way that I did that particular that piece was I washed the paper with watercolor, and
Mm.
after it dried, then I used my rubber stamp of the woman and of the trees in the background.
Mm.
And
Beautiful.
the other picture is hand drawn. It's kind of, this
Mm.
size
Mhm.
Zentangle tile. It's about, I think, a 3x3
Mm.
card, and it's pen and ink and
Mm.
pencil.
Mm.
I Some of it is Zentangle, they've monetized that,
Mhm.
and but I have always been a doodler,
Mm.
and it's just some of my doodles that I've put together.
Now, what did you tell me that you are committed to a doodle per day
Yes,
or often? So you have a lot of artwork around, huh?
yeah,
I'm calling it
I
artwork. You may
do.
call it doodles. It looks like artwork to me.
What I did, I was concerned about my Dubai.
Mm.
Um, and so I challenged myself
Mhm.
to do a doodle a day.
Mm.
And I figured, okay, was the issue with my Dubai, the length of the project or what? And I decided that if the project was small,
Mm.
something that I could actually feel like I could finish, then I was going to go ahead and do that. And
Mm.
so I think I started it in 2017.
Mm.
And that year I did do actually more than one doodle a day.
Mm.
I
Mm.
have them all over the place.
Okay, okay.
uh,
We need to have an exhibit. An exhibit at the library. This is more of your work.
but
Mm.
yes,
Just
it
beautiful. It's
is.
beautiful.
It
And you
is.
said that, and talk a little bit, and I had noticed, and I don't think your signature is on here, but oh, there it is, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, and I said, what does that say? Emmy?
MEB.
Okay.
And and it was funny. I don't remember which one of my brothers it was, but I was like, MEB, get it? And they they didn't get it. It took them a little while. But my initials are M for MeShelle, E for Elizabeth, and B for Barclay.
Okay.
And so I just changed it to MEB. So that's how I sign off on my artwork.
So, some people who are, with us today may have participated in your Between the Attics.
Yes.
You were telling me a little bit more about, that time. Just explain Between the Attics for us, because it's on Zoom, or just tell us, because, it's more than just people coming and doing crafts.
Yes, it is. The way that it started out was with my cousin and myself. She lived, as people in Cleveland say, all the way over on the west side, and I was living over here. And at that point in time, there were not cell phones there. And so she had a landline, I had a landline, and she macrameed, and I did all kinds of things, doodled and sewed and so on. And so what we would do is keep each other company. The phone would be off the hook and we'd be talking to one another doing it. And that's how it started. But then when I moved to California, my then husband and I split up, and most people know, as mothers or single parents, your home, there's maybe a project that you're wanting to work on, but if you're working on it at home, most of us will do a thing like, oh, I'll throw a load of clothes in the washing machine while I'm doing this. I'm going to do something else while I'm doing this. And you're not really focused on what it is that your art, your project is. And so I decided to have a group meet then at my daughter's elementary school. When we were in California, I was on the board, so I had a key to the school. But I did it with permission. And at that time I was beading, and I would have, the rule was, loose rules, that we had a set amount of time. You came, I asked that you turn your phone on vibrate or off. No, you could not bring your pet. That was something you definitely had to say in Berkeley, because people's animals were their furry children. And you could not bring your children. It was the time, you were given the date far enough in advance so that you could make arrangements. It was a time that you were able to be fully focused on what it was that you wanted to do, without distraction. And so I had some people would come and they'd work on beading, some would paint. We were able to use the art room in that space. So we had a large space and a lot of different supplies that we could use. People usually brought their own portable project. I would bring tea and a snack. And I had one woman who would come, and she was a letter writer. And so she would come and she would just write letters during that time. Another person would come and drink tea and chat. It was just a time to be focused on yourself and what you wanted to do. There is no RSVP on the days that I have it, and this is still in existence. The days that I have it, it's from 7 o'clock until 9:30. The room, whether it's Zoom or in person, is open at that time. And you do not have to come at 7 o'clock. You do not have to tell me that you're coming or that you're not coming. you stay for as long or as little time as you like. The only time I've made a request for people to be there at a specific time is if the group has decided that they would like someone to teach something. And
Right.
out of respect for the person that is teaching, I ask that people come. If you want to learn whatever, you need to come at the time the teacher is going to start, because nothing irritates me more than people to come late to something like that and then expect the teacher to go back.
Yes. Tell me what I
to
missed.
tell
Tell
them
me
what
what I
you-
missed.
It's
No.
like, no,
On the syllabus, it says.
right.
No announcements for
Be
late.
here on time. But so once we went into pandemic mode,
Yes.
we began to do this via Zoom.
Yes.
And we're still doing it via Zoom.
Yes.
Before the pandemic, there were a couple of different things in place and people in place. Kamala was still working with a shaker, and as a result of her input and assistance and the people that were running the dealership at that point in time, I was able to get space at the dealership every other week for free. I don't know if that is the case now.
Well, Theo Darden is on the line.
Okay.
Theo, I see you. You were Theo. Is Theo still here? There he is.
I'm still here.
Theo's still there. I'm sure that you can make arrangements.
So we
put you on the hook there, Theo.
Yeah, I may talk to him about that a little bit, because there are some people that, you know, would like to do the in-person meetup again. The advantage for me to some degree with not being is if I don't have to make up my mind which one thing I'm going to work on.
Okay.
Because I usually, when I was doing at the dealership, I was bringing the snacks and everything, and I would set that up and then need to set up whatever project I was going to work on. And a lot of times what I would end up doing is just sitting around chatting with folks and not doing anything. And
you
I get
sound like you sound like the teacher in the room. Okay, but that, you know, it's in your blood. It's in your blood. Melanie Graves says that an awesome class. She's talking about Between the Attics.
Yes.
And Theo made this comment a little while ago, you know, when you said nobody could bring their phones. He says no cell phones, landlines, and rotary phones.
No, right. You had to turn it off. You had
turn it off. Good idea. Yes, good idea. Now, you know, we're coming down to the wire here, but there's one thing I want to make sure that you share, that your bedroom was painted what colors?
Yes, I was a radical. My bedroom was painted striped red, black, and green.
All right.
And on the walls, I had a picture of Huey Newton in the Papasan chair. I had a picture of Angela Davis.
All right.
Let's see, who else? Because sometimes I would change it a little bit. I can't think of the other guy's name right now. He changed it to an African.
Oh, you're talking about Kwame Ture? Stokely Carmichael?
Stokely was in there every now and again.
Okay.
He didn't have a big poster. He had a small.
Oh, okay.
8.5 by 11. I didn't have
Amiri Baraka.
Yes, that's who.
Amiri Baraka.
Yes.
Nicole Thomas said Amiri
Yes.
Baraka. Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
But I want to come back to, you know, before we leave, because you said that when you lived in Teaneck, you all would go to New York. Tell us a few of the people that you
Oh,
saw and some experiences that you had.
yeah, as I said before, my dad was really a theater person, an arts person, and he took me a lot of these spoken word events that I went to were at City College,
Mhm.
and I saw Sonia Sanchez,
Mhm.
Nikki Giovanni,
Yes,
The
yeah.
Last Poets,
Mhm.
let's see, uh who
I
else?
have on this list Gil Scott Heron.
Yes,
And
yes,
the
it's got
revolution will not be televised.
yes, yes. The revolution will
Yeah,
not be
yeah,
televised. It
yeah.
will be live.
Wow.
Yes.
What an education.
Yes, and you know, we there are a lot of people in Cleveland and around the country actually that have both my dad and my mom to thank for a
Mm.
lot of exposure, because I didn't talk so much about my mom, but she did a lot of things too. I mean, she was part of Black Storytellers,
Mhm. Yeah.
um
Mhm.
ecumenical disciples. They sang the old Negro spirituals,
Mhm.
and she was a reading specialist, and
Mhm.
she taught adult ed,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
both of them
Oh,
very
wow.
much.
Mhm.
Education was the key. It wasn't, are you going to university? It's which university are you going to?
Yes, 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 yes,
You
yes.
know.
And you said before we came online that your mother and Mrs. Hooper worked
Yes, they were.
together. They worked together as educators
They're
in the
both
neighborhood.
educators. My aunt, uh, Nancy Smith, lived, I think, nearish Mrs. Hooper.
Mhm.
Um, and they were all teachers. We had a number of teachers on this street and on Pennington.
Mhm.
And Mrs. Hooper offered me the opportunity when I moved back here to do some tutoring at
Mhm.
Mercer.
Oh,
It
nice.
was, yeah, and so I was working with the younger kids, helping them with their reading and comprehension. And I do especially well, for whatever reason, with the little boys that don't like to read. I
Mm.
had one who I found out later that he actually lived on my street, and he
Oh,
didn't like to read, but what I did with him is had him write a comic book,
oh.
and we incorporated the words that he was having difficulty with.
Mhm.
And you know,
Mm.
excuse me, now they're not comic books, they're graphic novels, but
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
but either way, his reading and comprehension
Mm.
improved,
Wow,
so that
wow.
felt
You're
good.
an educator at heart, along with your parents, right along with your parents.
Yep.
Anybody want to chime in, say anything? Post a comment in the chat. Anybody want to?
I'll just say my sister is awesome
Thank
That's
you.
and is a creative wizard. When she came to visit me in Maryland, every day she was creating something.
oh,
She is
nice.
always making art, and it is an
Mhm.
inspiration for a lot of us.
Oh, wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful
But he
compliment.
also took me to the Library of Congress.
Ah, oh,
Oh,
mm, mm.
that was, I love libraries.
Yeah.
That is my dream vacation, is
Mm.
to just travel to different places,
Um,
and wherever I go, I go to their libraries to
wow,
see
wow.
how they have things set up, what they have going on. And yeah, so
Well, I want to share this comment from Megan. This was so wonderful. I learned so much more about the amazing and marvelous MeShelle and her family. Thank you so much for sharing. That's nice. That's nice. Anybody else want to chime in?
This is
Oh,
early.
yes.
I just want to say thank you. Sam and I have really enjoyed all of what you shared with us today. I met your mother through Nancy Smith.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Nancy was very much into reading, just like your family has been. And I like to say thanks again for the help that you gave at Mercer. I remember very vividly the
Yes.
you made with the young people. And I'm just wondering, what are you going to do now that you're retired?
Oh, my last picture, I'm on the porch, I'm reading, I'm doing art. I've done a little bit of traveling. I hope to do some more.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And I can't say this too loud because Stephanie Jonas might be on, but I am getting ready to join the Friends of Shaker Library because I have some ideas for some things to raise some money and do some more stuff at the library. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
And
Thank
Christopher, I'm gonna make your comment because it looks like you just saw Miss Hooper. Christopher
yeah.
says Miss Hooper.
Hi, Miss Hooper.
Yes, yes.
Hi.
How are you? So good to see
I'm good. I'm good. Sam's taking good care of me.
you. All right, as he should, right?
It's good to see you and Sam
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
Larry.
Good to
Yes,
see you
sir.
also.
Good to see you, Larry. Yes.
also.
Larry and Terry. Larry and Terry.
Yeah, Terry has the camera
Okay. All right. Hey, Terry too. All right then. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes.
And
Great
Megan says,
family.
yes. Megan, we miss you at the library, so it would be great. Be great to have you in FOS. Okay, what is it?
Friends of
Library.
Shaker.
Friends of Shaker Library. Okay. And then Mel, Gwen, and Tina say, thanks so much for the awesome history of your family. May your future be of great learning experiences. I'm so glad to be your friend.
Thank you,
Mel, Gwen, and Tina. And from Diane McIntyre, my sister Diane. Wonderful presentation. I remember MeShelle from the library. I think the family should make an oral history for Karamu, so it is not lost about their father's experiences and also the classes they taught. That is vital history. Please capture it for Karamu.
You know what? For their 100th anniversary, my father actually had come in town for that. He was asked to come in, but he fell ill and was not able to participate. So I don't know how or what happened beyond that. But
yes. And Karamu should have a record of his work.
Yeah.
I mean,
They might not though. So
yeah.
we'll
That's
connect you with them.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my sister. I'm going to connect the
All
two.
right.
Yeah. This was, and Christopher says, oh, wow, here it is. I have some video of my dad talking about what he learned at Karamu.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You
I
all are
was
educators,
the
historians.
photographer, videographer in our family.
Wow. Oh my goodness. We could just talk and talk and talk. This is wonderful. I didn't even, I have all these notes. We didn't even cover everything that we had talked about before we prepared for, this presentation. This was wonderful, MeShelle.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity and your family. It's so nice to have your family here. That's wonderful, wonderful. I want to remind everybody about the Juneteenth event at the library on June 15th. And so you can go to the library website and see that at 7 o'clock on June 15th. Here it is again, the website that you can access. So that's next Thursday, June 15th at 7 at the library about the Oberlin Wellington case. MeShelle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. I have to see your artwork. I have to see your gallery. I'm sure you have a gallery in your house. All righty. Okay, folks. Oh, then Christopher says, this was awesome. Let me see this.
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks
jumping around
everybody
here.
for coming.
This is awesome. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Otter, for doing these interviews. I love it. I love it. Not only the time that I have to spend on a Sunday evening, but just the wonderful conversations we have. And John and I and our guests always have more conversations that, you all don't necessarily see ahead of time. So we got to know the family pretty well before we came together on Sunday morning. Yes, yes, yes. So as everyone knows, I'm always looking for guests on Witness to History. This is our Moreland community's way of getting to know each other. So if you've ever lived in Moreland or, have had some experience with Moreland, you're welcome to be our guest. So here's my number. You can give me a call. If you call me, it's better to text me first because I don't answer calls when I don't recognize the telephone number. But if you send me a text, then I'll call you right back. And this is my email address. And so I'm always looking for guests for Witness to History. And John and I are going to keep on going till we just don't go anymore.
Donna, we cannot close without saying you look beautiful today.
Oh, thank you.
MeShelle as well, but Donna, she really dressed up for you, MeShelle. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So the month of July, our guest will be David Owens. Stay tuned. It will either be the 9th or the 16th of July, one or the other of those Sunday evenings. And David Owens is a very longtime resident of Shaker on Milverton. So he's going to share with us about how generations of his family have lived in the house, just the same as yours. And so you'll hear more about David Owens when you come to be with us in July. So let's hope everybody is well between now and then. Enjoy your summer. Thank goodness. I think I heard some rain outside. I think I heard some rain. Okay, so I don't have to get out and water the grass tomorrow. All righty. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, MeShelle. Big thank you to you. This was absolutely wonderful.